Welcome to Follow Your Joy podcast, where intuition is the doorway to your elevated creativity, more joy, and prosperity. I'm your host, Marla Diane, and I've been living an intuitive life for decades as a creative. That translates to transforming creative entrepreneurs' lives for over 27 years through two businesses as a business strategist and a life designer. And prior to that, an entertainment publicist and talent manager. Follow Your Joy is an entrepreneurial resource for creatives sharing their challenge to victory stories through the lens of listening to their intuition. It's time to make joy your inner GPS for life and business decisions rather than lean on your logic and reason first. You'll not only be following what is most authentic for you, but you will live the beautiful life meant just for you. Want to learn how to access, trust, or up-level your intuition? Join me in the conversation to find out how. Hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. That is, if you live in the United States. You know, I enjoy amping up my gratitude even more at this time. So what can you be grateful for currently and always? And what can you be grateful for that has not shown up yet in your life? And what I mean by that is I call these unseen gratitudes. It's like a faith statement. Your journal, let's say you take your journal and you write out how grateful you are for X, Y, whatever it is, as if it's already here. All right? Goes to, and fabulous. Yes, list in your gratitude practice, if you journal it, whether it's on a phone app or in an actual, handwritten journal, is that I always have I myself and I have my clients write out what they're grateful for currently and what they're grateful for, as in it's kind of how you manifest, right? Is you write out what you're grateful for as if it's already here, So be it, let's say, healing, love, money, a vacation, a new home, right? A new connection. Maybe a new ideal client that you really enjoy working with, who respects you and your expertise, right? And maybe it's a gratitude for a peaceful resolve to a challenge. So take whatever's going on in your life, that which you want to manifest, and write that gratitude statement, right? And really have it come from your heart, have it come from your intuition. So I encourage you to make this a weekly habit, again, either by journaling by hand or in a phone app, which a lot of people have. And I personally find writing, as in writing in a journal, more effective for me, because I can feel into it. To me, it's a way to access your intuition much more. And it has this kind of special effect, right? And I think there's some scientific, I haven't researched it, but I know it's out there, is that there's some scientific studies about writing versus tapping away on a computer, right? A laptop or keyboard or whatever. So give it a whirl. Yeah. See what it's like. So very good. Gratitude. I'm grateful for you all being here. I'm grateful for, being a follower and listening in. And I want to give a big shout out. This is so cool, to the countries of Sweden, Brazil, China, Bangladesh, and Australia for listening in to Follow Your Joy. Because my team and I were just doing this the last week as we were looking at our stats. And I think it has a lot to do with, we added Amazon to our stream as well as iHeart. And it's just kind of blown up as far as the reach. We were looking at the countries in which Follow Your Joy was streaming on, and the downloads and what episodes. I went, what's up with Sweden? In October, we had this real, big rush in of downloads from Sweden. So yay, Sweden, hello. And Brazil, my gosh, thank you so much. It's so cool. And it's very, very exciting. So thank you. I appreciate it if you're back listening from those countries. And Brazil was second. Yay, Brazil. I know. So cool. All right. So very good. So I am grateful to bring on my next guest, Norma Mancini, to the show for really several reasons. One, she's a hoot. You're gonna love her. She's smart. She's got a great sense of humor. She's got a big heart. And she's been a client of mine most of the year, and we've had a blast. We've kind of re-engineered her business structure, her sales system, her mindset, her manifesting practice and approach. And now we're working currently on her personal brand. So I'm incredibly grateful for her and me being able to be in her life and really make that difference for her. Whew, good stuff. So with a proper introduction, Norma Mancini is owner of Adelante Bookkeeping Solutions. And she's a Spanish bilingual entrepreneur who has a master's degree in clinical psychology. And it wasn't until she became the chief operating officer of a nonprofit, right, where she worked on their budgets, funding streams, and the details that really made up that organization's, the whole picture. When she saw the light, and she never turned back, she became financial wizardry here. So adelante is a Spanish word, which I love this. I love when she initially told me this. It's a Spanish word meaning move ahead, move forward. And like, adelante, go. So fiscal organization is one piece of a business's puzzle, and that's her genius zone. Right? Being fiscally responsible, right? In touch with your numbers, which allows the business owner to be empowered, right, to make smart, efficient decisions with Norma's help is kind of her jam, right? So for the past 5 years, she has worked primarily with entrepreneurs, chiropractors, and podiatrists who've been in business for at least 5 years and have either been doing their own books or they have a bookkeeper who perhaps can't keep up with their growth. That's her ideal client, right? That she really enjoys being that problem solver for. So if you're a chiropractor or podiatrist, doesn't matter where you are in the world, we've got Zoom, right? Thank God we all have global businesses now, reach out to her. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So they also, a little bit more about that particular client, is they also may be having challenges with obtaining loans. I don't know if that's you, right? Obtaining loans for your business because maybe your books aren't up to date, right? Maybe your balance sheet is not, that happened to me just last year. I had my bookkeeper, right, who I've had for many years, or I'd have Norma be doing it, is that my balance sheet was way out of whack. And I did try to go get a loan, and they're like almost laughing at me. I'm like, what's wrong with my balance sheet? And sure enough, right, I had my bookkeeper look at it. I went, oh my God, this is like, what is that? That's like 20 years old. What is that doing on there? Right. So there were a lot of old information on that balance sheet. So anyway, all that to say, that's that financial wizardry that bookkeepers have. And as Norma, has heard from me many, many times, is being a business coach, the very first hire anybody should be doing besides a virtual assistant. Number one before that is a bookkeeper. Don't you ever be thinking you need to be doing this yourself, everybody, if you're a right entrepreneur. Please don't do that. You are not an expert in that, and it's something you're supposed to delegate. So you focus on your genius zone, because that isn't it. All right. They are absolutely crucial to your business. And I say this to every single client. Bookkeepers, good bookkeepers that you can collaborate with are, man, they are a saving grace. Yeah. So very, very good. So she's whip smart with obviously bookkeeping and tax strategies, and you'll actually have fun with this mundane, can't be a mundane task of the bookkeeping. Because she brings her great personality and humor to your relationship, and I can appreciate that. So let's welcome Norma to Follow Your Joy.
Hi, Marla. Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I really do appreciate this, and I'm excited.
Yeah, you're my first bookkeeper I've had on Follow Your Joy in the 2.5 years that I've been on.
Mhm.
So I'm it's like kind of walking the talk, meaning it's not only what I do and have done obviously in my business, but more importantly that's, as I said, it is a must in every client. We talk about and how to hire them and the system I use. I give them my system that I use to communicate with my bookkeeper. So I'm so glad that we're finally here to talk about something that's so, so important to being an entrepreneur. Yeah. Okay, so let's have you now. Now that I've talked enough, let's dive in and hear about your magic. So share the highlights, if you will, of your journey. Kind of what happened in your life that led you to this career and business.
Okay. Well, I had a really, really exciting and great career, over, from my 20s on. And I worked for nonprofits, municipalities, for profits, and each one was wonderful in its own way. And but then shortly about I got married and had kids and all the good stuff of the world. But we ended up deciding that we were going to leave Metro Phoenix, and we wanted to move to a smaller town to raise the kids. And so at that point in our life, basically I had the better title as the COO, but my husband made more money, so I stayed home. And it was fine for maybe about 6 months, and then I slowly began to realize that it didn't fit. It just really staying at home and schlepping the kids just didn't fit. And so I did some research, and it needed, whatever I was going to step into needed to needed to be something that would allow me the opportunity to go after the kids at school, and for sports and all the good stuff of the world. So I found a bookkeeping course and did some investigative work and found out that it was, a fairly good career. And that was the story. I basically went to school, got my certifications and QuickBooks and Xero, and here I am 5 years later.
You are, okay. And a little bit about that, you were working with nonprofits, you were COO. I mean, tell us a little bit about what went on with that when kind of the light went on. You went, oh man, I really like this.
Okay, so I started out my career in a nonprofit, and I was doing program management for senior centers. So my heart has always been in for seniors, and I think my work career was is a tribute to my grandmother. I mean, that's seniors have always been my first love. Anyway, so I got headhunted out to the municipality and worked there for 10 years. And we were the birth to death department, if you will. We took care of everything from babies to seniors. And I loved every minute of it. We had 4 divisions and departments and $4 million budgets. And I became the person who built the budgets every year that got presented to council. And so that was my forte. I mean, I really, really, really loved doing that. So those were the first little pieces, the programming, and then the budget management. Unfortunately, in 2008, I was laid off.
Mm.
Um, we were the city ultimately underwent, I believe, 6 or 7 rounds of layoffs. My department was part of the second round. And with that, it was dismantled, and the only thing that survived was transit. So after about 3, 4 months, I'm sitting there looking for jobs, and I looked over to my husband and I said, "There's my job." And it was for the COO position at another nonprofit. And they actually ran senior centers. So when I became the COO, I got more deeply involved in the budget aspects and quickly got sucked in. I loved it.
You loved the process of the numbers and the fiscal, the whole picture. Mhm.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It was fun to figure it out. Grant writing and all of those things were very important as well. Because then once you get awarded the money, then you have to distribute the money appropriately. So it all went hand in hand.
Interesting. Okay. And that's actually this piece right here. I don't think we've ever really talked about that, although we will when we're going through your personal brand story. So you talk a little about this grant writing. You know how to do grant writing, or talk to us a little more about that.
Well, and grants in any nonprofit are lifeblood. That's the main, one of the main supports for those types of organizations.
Mhm.
And they each grant has various responsibilities within them. You have to know your organization. Um, you have to be able to write, towards the reader, the person that's awarding it, and you have to come up with a really good story, to pull them in, to suck them in, to make sure that you can get awarded. And the worst part I think about grant writing is they have limits, like whether it be 200, 400 words. I was the dork that always decided I'm going to get it to 400 words, and I did. So,
That's
that was my
hard.
game.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, that's 400 words, not a lot.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah.
So, but I made it a game, and I think that's actually what bookkeeping is to me.
Mhm,
It's a puzzle.
yeah.
Again, those are the seeds that got me to where I am today. It's all of that. So I
Mm.
like brand writing. I mean, Marla, you should know I'm very wordy.
Ah, no, it's good. It's just something, this is a talent I did not know about you. And I love that. I didn't realize to what degree when you talked about, being a nonprofit and working for the organization. I don't think I knew much about that.
Mhm.
So, wow, okay. I love that. So, very good. Let's talk about what brings you the most joy in your business, right? So here you are, you've had now your, Adelante for 5 years,
Mhm.
right? So talk to us. What brings you your joy to follow your joy?
Okay, first of all, I think that, yeah, as I alluded to earlier, it's a puzzle. It's a big knotted ball of yarn, and I get to pick through, and figure that out. So that just really excites me. Um, Additionally, I think in my business, what brings me a whole lot of joy is that I've got some really good clients, who work with me really well. They communicate very well, and that's important, for me, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I would have stuck with it as long as I have. So
Mhm.
I think that those are the two biggest aspects of my business that bring me joy.
That brings you joy. And
Mhm.
it uses that part of, your zone of genius, right? Problem solver and, being creative in that way. So tell us tell us a story of a client, um, and how you kind of help them either break through, become more empowered with their business because of your support.
Um, I've had a few clients who didn't necessarily trust other people
Mhm.
touching their books. I mean, that is the lifeblood. That's the foundational building block of any business. And a bookkeeper goes deep. I mean, we know everything. We see everything.
Mhm.
And there was no trust with anyone else. And I met this one client, and after going back and forth, and him, understanding my snarky nature, we hit it off.
Right? See what I told you with their sense of humor? It's fun. Yeah.
So with that, we're an utter mess. Um, had been in business for a very long time, and was working on their own books. And with that came, the huge cleanup. And a I think the best part of that was getting the bookkeeping off of the doctor's plate.
Mhm.
Um, there was no worry after that. It was being taken care of, and this person didn't particularly like doing the books. I mean, it's not for everybody. So, it was a sense of relief and stability, and the ability to pick up the phone and call me or text me. And that's something else that I found with this particular client, and how I work with the majority of my clients. As a bookkeeper, you need to understand the business of the person you're working with. And I can't pick up the phone and call a doctor. They're not going to answer, or if they do, they're in the middle of a client meeting. So they have found that they work really, I have found that they work really well, and they like the idea that I text them. And so that really helps. But with this client, it was, this person was one of my first clients and is still with me today.
Mm.
So again, it's a bond, it's a trust.
Let's talk about that. This is a really important piece that I, as a business coach, um, you know, deal with initially with clients that don't have bookkeepers yet. They know they need one,
Mhm.
but they have this kind of trust thing going on, right?
Mhm.
It's pretty common. So this is a chiropractor, right, that you're talking about?
Yes.
So tell us or share with us on your end, how did you navigate this trust issue that this doctor had?
We started off with, because the trust wasn't, we knew that we liked each other, but there wasn't a trust built yet.
Mhm.
So we set down, basic rules when I first started. We're going to give this 6 months.
Mhm.
If it doesn't work out for either one of us, then we're going to part ways. So we had that very clear. We basically set up, parameters of, what would happen. Um, on a monthly basis. So it's about laying out exactly what the receivables are that your client is going to receive, and just having that clear communication is what, helped seal that deal. And plus, I think, part of what you've alluded to is, yeah, I like to be funny. I like to have fun. That's absolutely, life isn't necessarily 100% serious all the time.
Yeah.
And that helps. I mean, you don't want somebody dry working for you.
Yeah, boring,
Mhm. It's
especially
not.
with numbers.
Mhm. I had somebody say that to me yesterday, as a matter of fact. They're like, "You're not a typical." I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Yeah, it's
Because
really, it's part of your nuance, again, your zone of genius is your sense of humor,
Mhm.
right? As you do, you know how to bring levity to, is that it? Is that the right word? To something that can lend itself to be very serious
Mhm.
and boring.
Mhm.
I mean, look, numbers, I find them fascinating. I'm part of my personality is, I mean, I'm very specific with numbers, and it always ceases to amaze me how absolutely black and white numbers are. There is no gray area.
Mhm.
There's no hoping and wishing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like it's right there. And so the more that you, and this is all part of the money coaching too, that I know you have experienced, it's when you're in relationship with your numbers and you take care of them. This
Mhm.
is a blessing in your life, everybody. They will take care of you. And so it requires constant in contact with your numbers, your bank accounts, right? Your check register, your savings, your fill in the blank. And that's part of the challenge. Well, I could have a whole discussion about this, but I'm not right now. Is that's one of the money relationship challenges that is very common out there. Not bad, good, just is. Everyone has it on some level. Is that they're afraid to look at their numbers. I have absolutely brilliant clients, and there are several over the years, and thank goodness that's why they were there, for me to assist them in having a positive, trusting, blessed relationship, literally with their numbers, with their money.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, is this trust thing that you're talking about, which is why I really wanted to hear. It's a super common thing around money and numbers. And the more that you're able to pay attention every day, which is kind of what I do. If it's not every day, it's every other day. It's like, okay, what's going on in that account? What's going on here? What's happening here? And the more specific you, be it budgeting, right? Be it, every week looking at, okay, and this is hence part of my system that I teach, is to be in touch with your numbers is, every week you're looking at, okay, what's coming up this week and how do I budget for that, etc. So anyway, all that to say is, yeah, it's super black and white. There's no gray area. And it's like you can always count on the numbers to tell you the truth,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, so good. So your story and how you were able to help this chiropractor trust. Was it he or she?
Okay.
Yeah. Did he have a bookkeeper prior to you? No. Okay. So that was also new for him,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's also common. It's like someone else is going to be looking and being, have access to my bank accounts. Oh God.
Yeah.
And that's rightfully so. People are, not going to feel that good about that initially. But the way, again, which is what I wanted to emphasize, is how you handled it. Is you built up a kind of a structure, is what it sounds like, parameters and what if, and here's how we're going to work. In other words, you're kind of holding their hand, right, to help them feel like they trust you. And then, of course, you throw in a levity between you with a good sense of humor. And now you've got a good formula.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Okay, love it. And he's still with you. So
Still
he's
with,
been with you 5 years.
yes.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. And just to add on one more piece to
Yeah.
what you're saying,
Mhm.
um, I got a call the other day, and there were reports that were needed, that he needed, and he told me exactly what I needed, to get done for him. And it's just a beautiful thing to be able to play in these systems, whether it be Zero or whether it be QuickBooks, and to figure out reports and do percentages so that they can see, what the profit margins are, if they're, if the services that are being offered are making them a profit or a loss. So yeah, it's all trust, and it's fun, and it's an easy relationship, and I'm really, really happy for that. I'm really, really glad for that, because I'm not going to be, I don't want to ever walk into an office again. I'm happy working from home.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, no, there's especially being a mother. I mean,
Mhm.
there's just a ton of freedom. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's all I've been doing for 20. Holy cow. 1996 is when I started my PR business out of my home.
Mhm.
So I've been an entrepreneur working out of my home as a home-based business because of raising a son. I have always worked that way. So it is, right?
Who knew? Who knew?
Who knew? And God, obviously imagine that back then there was no Zoom,
Mhm.
right? There was just, there wasn't really, in fact, 1996, there wasn't social media, right? So yay to home based. So let's move into intuition, which is the premise to obviously the podcast. And how I coach, right? Teaching you how to be more in relationship. So yeah, tell us then another story, how you followed your intuition, right? And everyone, by the way, again, because I don't know those of you that are brand new to this, to the podcast, I've said this many, many times. Your intuition is from the neck down. It's not in your head. Don't look for intuition in your brain. It's not going to be there. Your intuition is a feeling. It's a vibe in your heart, in your gut, in your body, right? And it's a very, very special relationship that you have, and you have it. And my biggest wish and aspiration for every woman, men too, and I've coached them on this, but mostly my women, it's a beautiful feminine art that you are wired for. And to lead your life and the way you run your business through your intuition, not just your brain and logic and practicality and linear and logic. Listen first to intuition. All right. It's enough on my soapbox around that one. So, so yeah, tell us your story that essentially you listened to that beautiful intuition that led you to a positive result.
Mhm. Okay, so this one revolves around me actually starting the business,
Great.
and it was a monumental,
Mm.
earth-shattering thing for me.
Ooh.
Um, as I had said, we moved to a very rural part of the state, and I was schlepping the kids back and forth and everywhere else. And, I wasn't working. And I was used to wielding, $4 million budgets, $3 million budgets.
Okay.
And that transition between doing that to suddenly not having that just threw me for a loop. I I grew incredibly unhappy, very, very, very unhappy.
Mm.
And I was sitting in the laundry room one day. I was actually moving laundry and hating every minute of it, realized it was physical. I was practically in tears. I mean, they were welling up. I was about ready to cry. My husband happens to walk by and he looks at me and he's like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I hate my life." And those were my words. I
Yeah.
hate my
Mhm.
life.
Yep.
And him and his practicality, he looks at me and he says, "Well, change it."
So that's
Well,
the
change
answer.
it.
So change it. Yay, happy. Well, good. Whoa, change it.
And that's what it was. That's all it took. I'm like, okay, I'm going to change it. But the issue was the kids. They were still very young. They couldn't drive. I mean, they needed somebody. And I realized I can't go to an office. Kids bring home everything. It's a little petri dish at school. They bring home everything. So everybody gets sick. Um, so I would have to be taking time off of work, and it just wasn't conducive. So after researching and looking around, I found this bookkeeping program that would teach me soup to nuts what to do with bookkeeping. And there were other avenues of growth, whether it be bookkeeping or tax services or
Strategy.
e-commerce services.
Mhm, mhm,
And so there was potential for growth within that program.
mhm.
So I took it, got the flavor for it, and started networking. And that basically, it was intuition in the sense that I didn't listen to it. I grew progressively unhappy to the point that, I was, in tears on the verge of a breakdown until I finally listened. So
What were you not listening to?
I needed change. And I didn't think that I could change because I had minors, that needed that constant care. And, dinner had to happen. And, the whole thing of having kids, was just, and I love my kids, but it tossed me for a loop. It wasn't something I was prepared for,
Mhm,
in the sense of, being home 100% of the time.
mhm. So what I'm hearing is that until it became unbearable,
Mhm.
the intuition, the nudges of you need to change You need to honor what brings you joy, whatever.
Mhm.
And whatever that change is, it's like you're not wired to be a full-time mom. That's basically what you're saying, which a lot of women today is the case.
Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, there was shame attached to it too. If
She's
you really
attached to being a full-time mother?
know, for not liking being a full-time mother.
Oh, interesting. That
Yeah,
was for you. You had
yeah,
some shame around it.
for me, because you hear all these stories and you talk to these women and they're just the happiest things on the face of the earth, being at home, cooking, cleaning, and doing the laundry, and I hated it. It's not that I didn't love my kids. I adore my kids, but
That's
I
that's
didn't fit the mold.
Yeah, but that's not the issue. The issue is not that you don't love your kids. It's today women, these are things obviously I hear all the time
Mhm.
when I'm coaching. And it's so crucial for women today to feel a value in addition to family,
Mhm.
be able to use parts of our brain, our intuition, our creativity for something bigger than who we are.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Right,
So,
it's the creation, and that's what, let me back up. We're creative human beings. We are meant to create and consistently on some level keep creating something new, right, to get us to feel the vitality,
mhm.
to help us feel alive. And so today's modern women, they love both. They want to obviously take care of family and they want something for themselves.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Exactly.
They want something for themselves. So that's what was going on. Interesting, which was see if I'm right about this. In other words, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that the intuition was it's okay, go find something that you can wrap your head and heart around,
Mhm.
that you can make money at.
Mhm.
But then the shame was going, oh, okay, you don't like doing this, but boy, I better just stick with the mom thing.
Yeah, you're here. This is
You're
your job.
here, this is your job. And the intuition kept going, no, there's another way this can look.
Mhm.
And you kept fighting it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, boy,
Didn't
that's
recognize it. I'm not the swiftest thing on the face of the earth anyways when it comes to don't be you have to hit me over the head. I'm not one that makes subtleties. And that's what it did.
well, okay. I mean, I think you just spoke for thousands and thousands of people. It does have to hit you over the head when you're not accustomed to, and hence the reason why I have a soapbox about intuition, right? And I believe in it. It's how I've lived. And that is listen to the inner nudges.
Absolutely.
Stop allowing your logic, your brain, your practicality, other people's voices, other people's standards, other people's rules
Mhm.
to dictate what you really want to be doing. Well, your intuition will always, always be for your good, always for your happiness, always for your evolution. It will never harm you. Talk
Uh,
about trust.
I'm sorry.
You got to say, talk about trust. You got to trust your intuition and stop allowing our brains, bless our brains, to dictate what's logical, safe, secure, and blah, blah, blah. No, it's not a place for that. So congratulations on, on that. And that's a very common story. And I appreciate you sharing that. I could talk a lot on this topic right here. This is good.
Well,
It
and I think
really.
that you know, the other piece was finding you.
Mm.
Your spirituality, teaching me about the masculine and the feminine and intuition. I mean, that's something that I'm still very much in the thick of it.
Mhm. Yeah.
How to open up and
Mhm.
you can't say enough about Marla and the ability to help you, to connect with yourself and to listen to that intuition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, it's like myself. I mean, I learned it, thank goodness, from my coaches over the years, because I was craving how to have that balance and not be in such burnout all the time because of our conditioning in our society. Not bad, not good, just is. I'm not judging. But you can't be in masculine energy all the time. And until somebody came along for me to actually put it in a perspective of, and it's not gender, again, it's masculine, feminine principles and energies.
Mhm.
And both men and women have it. Right. But for women, it's even more costly when we emotionally and mentally costly when we live in the masculine so much. Again, the logic, the practicality, the linear, right? The responsibility, the doing, the getting it done, the hustle.
Mhm.
When we're in that too long, we burn out. You've got to have the balance because there's this beautiful part of your life called the feminine. And the feminine is all that, the fun and the play and the adventure and the creativity and the spirituality and the intuition of life, right? And so many of us, no one's fault, us women ignore it.
Mhm.
We put it on the shelf and go, yeah, maybe I'll get to that later. I got to get this done.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, not on my watch, as you know. So all of this to say is, Norma, what you were saying is, you're still, as expected, you're still in it, you're working, you're learning how to have that blend, because that's the point here, is having the blend of the masculine and feminine. You've been conditioned for so many years. It's okay. It's going to take some time.
Mhm.
It'll take some time, right?
Give yourself grace, which I say every day.
That's it. Give yourself grace, but know you're on the right path. Because that's one of the reasons why women don't listen to their intuition. It's a feminine energy, and they're not conditioned to be in the feminine. They're conditioned too much to be in the go, go, go masculine,
Absolutely.
right? It's one of the contributing factors. Wow. Yeah, no, you're doing awesome. Okay, thank you for that. Wow, it's an interesting story. It leads off to so many different topics. I know, right? The shame, the guilt, the, wanting something for yourself, the breakthrough, the intuition, the wow, right? Okay. So based then on your experience, and we're kind of bringing this to a close, is based on your experience, what key advice, what tips do you want to, other than what we've just heard, which are phenomenal,
Mhm.
what kind of key advice can you give our listeners, our entrepreneurial listeners?
You don't have to fit in one mold for your whole life. Life takes so many evolutions and turns. Um, you know, like I said, I started out in a nonprofit working in programs and then, built budgets and then, you know, became the COO. And then I ended up opening my own business, aspiring for something different. So look around, find something that fits, try it out. There is no guarantee that, that you need to do one type of career. Life's too short, you know, and, Auntie Maine, life is a banquet and most poor suckers are starving. So go enjoy.
Yeah, amen. Amen. Good. Very excellent advice. And it came from your own experience,
Mhm,
right? It's like you pivoted,
mhm.
right? You pivoted somewhat. In other words, you pivoted from an employee to an entrepreneur, but you were still in your what you love to do, which was the numbers and the fiscal, right?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, all right, how can our listeners, get in touch with you, and what would you like to offer?
Well, you can reach me at my email is abs@mancininet.com. My website, if you'd like to scope me out, is thelantebookkeeping.com. Or you can give me a call at 623-566-0533.
We'll have that in the show notes, by the way, so it'll be easy for people to have. And what about your intro call?
Okay, so yes, if you would like to contact me and work with me, I do have an intro call on my website. It's the Let's Talk tag
Good,
tab,
good.
and you can go ahead and fill out the form, and then you'll get a live session with me.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody, if this really, hit a chord with you, and again, look, she can do obviously bookkeeping anywhere in the world, right? It's, thank God for Zoom, in online such. So yes, is that if anything hit a chord for you, just out of curiosity, fill out the form. And you'll have just an introductory call, get to know each other, right? No obligation. And please do that. Right? Okay.
Can I interject really quickly?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I gave you the wrong phone number.
What's that?
I gave you the wrong phone number.
Oh, okay.
It's 623-566-0433. Not
0433.
yeah.
Okay.
My apologies.
That's okay. I checked that off on my end. So 566-0433. Okay. So that, again, that'll be in the show notes along with the link to the contact form and all that. Okay, Norma, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is
And
exciting.
as I expected, this was going to be a lively call, and very, very introspective. Me now knowing you and all that you offer. So, yeah, really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome, of course. So everyone, hopefully Norma's, wisdom and her stories and, all that has inspired you in some way. Share it with your friends, right? Wherever they are in the world, have them listen to the podcast, right? This is all about my love of inspiring you to be better, more have an enjoyable life, following your joy and all that. So please, right, recommend it to your friends. And I want to invite you to head over to YouTube. There'll be a link below. I have a 30-minute training. 30-minute training I just kind of put together. What you'll hear is my story and how I came to develop my signature creative achievement formula. And then I give you steps, simple steps to get started. Essentially, I teach you how to achieve your top desires, that's feminine, and your goals, that's masculine, right? By using the blend of the masculine, feminine energies and principles and your intuition, right? Because by way of my own burnout, which you're going to hear in the video, my own burnout to break through life transformation in 2017, I developed this unique approach, the creative achievement formula for women entrepreneurs, and I've been teaching it since. Okay. And it's designed to experience joy. Imagine that. Experience joy while achieving your desires and goals rather than what? Consistent overwhelm and stress and demands and hustle, right? Okay, so the video takes you through the steps of the formula, and then I explain how you can dive deeper with 5 other modules in my upcoming Create cohort. It starts in January, okay? And I'm enrolling now. It's only 6 women. That's it, because I dive pretty deep with you. So I can only handle small, intimate groups to make sure I get in it with you, right? Yeah, Create cohort. So I'll give you the link below for the YouTube training, and then of course check out the cohort details and the modules and what we're doing and the dates and all that. Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Okay, everyone. So happy Thanksgiving, holidays, etc. And I wish you, a blessed day, a blessed week, a blessed end of the year. And I will be seeing you on the next episode. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for listening. You can find more entrepreneurial stories and resources at marladiane.com. And while you're there, enjoy my free downloads to up-level your business and your life. And Instagram. It's my favorite place to hang out. Let's connect there. If you received inspiration from the episode, I'd sure appreciate a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. Until next episode, take care.